Hello, welcome to this week's IGTV, attempt number 2. Today I am talking about the secrets that your teen wishes you knew. Those deep emotional needs that they desperately wish you knew, but they don't know how to communicate. And if you're like me, you weren't taught how to offer them or how to share them as a parent. And that doesn't work. And so in spite of your best efforts to love all over your teen, you create more and more disconnection, which is incredibly painful for you and them. And today I want to unpack some of this and share some of my experience, because I don't think that being a parent has to feel this heartbreaking, especially for teens, and for parents of teens. And I don't think that parenting or being a teen needs to be so hard and feel so enormously lonely as well. My name is Allie Payne. I'm a certified life coach and certified relationship systems coach. I am one of 70 people in Canada to hold both designations. I have been doing this work for 16 years, helping thousands of parents move from very painful disconnection, troubling times, emotional blow-ups, and very stressful silences, walking on eggshells at their wits' end, to creating more healthy and sustainable relationships built on trust and respect. And that is what I want for you too. Sound about right? Sound good? Okay, so I want to share with you some of the secrets that your teen wishes you knew. And here's how I know. I came from a loving family that did their very best, and yet we were wildly disconnected. My parents were raised in a time where, that parenting of the era was about discipline, punishment, guilt, shame, coercion. That was just normal. That was what they were taught. It was based on an industrialized military model. So what I learned is I needed to comply more. I needed to be more perfect. Somehow I needed to be more perfect to feel loved. I didn't know what that meant, but I made up a lot of stories about it. I needed to hustle really hard to earn love and approval. And I needed to make sure that that was done in a way that my parents valued. Not what I valued, but what they valued, okay? I needed to do whatever it took to please them so that the emotional pain and the hurt would stop. And I can't say that it ever did, but I sure did my best. So here's what your teen wishes that you knew. Teenagers are messy. Can we agree on that? Teenagers are a hot mess. It's because of their physiological brain development, which I won't go into detail, but I will tell you that the adolescent brain development is the second and final growth phase of the brain. That's right, it's growing. It is similar to a toddler. It is growing all new hardware and developing all new software at the same time, randomly. It's one trapeze short of Cirque du Soleil in there, and that doesn't mean they're not intelligent. It means that they are going through a literally massive brain renovation that rewrites their sense of identity. That's not scary at all. Removes great neural pathways that we dearly loved, and installs 10 new, more complex neural pathways where there might have been one. At that time, their self-esteem tanks almost 30%. Now that is the part I need you to remember. Their self-esteem naturally will tank almost 30% as their brain destroys a simplistic identity to rewrite a more complex identity required for self-reflection, which is the indicator of an adult, mature brain. So, the number one thing that I wished my parents knew is that in my failing self-esteem, of which was no fault of my own, it's a natural part of human development, I desperately wanted praise. Now, words of affirmation happen to be my love language. That is not every teenager's love language. And it is important that you know that. And I teach how to interpret and really work with your teens' love languages in one of my programs starting on Monday. I'm going to tell you about it, okay? Your teenager wishes that you told them what they were doing right more than you told them what they were doing wrong. That rather than attempting to use correction and motivation to have them be the person that you want them to be, which reflects your best traits and makes you feel good about yourself to fulfill your own insecurity, that you affirm your teen in what they're doing right simply because they are. Now, this is reinforced by Dr. John and Julie Gottman, who are founders of relationship study down in Washington University. They've been doing this for over 40 years, who currently show the statistic of positive to negative comments is a ratio of 3-to-1 in a basic relationship, 3-to-1. It is 5-to-1 in a primary relationship, 5-to-1 in a primary relationship, okay? So your teenager desperately just wants you to affirm what they're doing right. Stop constantly trying to use criticism and motivation to make them be their best or fulfill their potential. Affirm. Words like, I'm proud of you for doing that. Or, hey, thanks for doing that. And you're like, well, they don't do anything, Allie. They do nothing to help around the house. I have nothing to affirm them about. Really? Really? You can't find one thing that's kind to say to your teenager? I understand this may never have been demonstrated to you. I get that. Affirming your teen is something that needs to be done daily in a way that works for them. And I teach you how to do that in my program starting on Monday. So it's called Find Right. It's actually a coaching tool. It's called Find Right. Just find one thing that they do well, or that they did, or that you can thank them for or reinforce positively, okay? Find one thing. That is secret number 1. Now that helps alone with your teenagers naturally tanking low self-esteem. They look to you, and their greatest cry in their heart, this is secret number 2. The greatest cry in their heart is, do you love me? I know I'm a hot mess, and I'm so frustrated in this new thing that I don't understand how to operate, and I can't find the controls, and there's no effing manual, and nobody told me this was going to happen to my brain. Do you love me? That's the cry in their heart. A child's cry in their heart is, did I get it right? Because they are learning to human. They are mimicking and copying you to learn things. The teen brain isn't doing that. They are individuating and differentiating as they develop an entirely new brain with far more complex emotions that they do not have words for yet. They are reactive, and they know it, and they just want to know, do you love me? So rather than taking your teenager's brain development personally, because it has nothing to do with you, nor is it an intentional part of your teenager's wrath against you, because they have no choice whether it happens or not. It is happening. Yes, it is. Whether they like it or not. And even in their hot mess that can be sharp and sassy, and the tone and the back talk, and I am not saying don't have boundaries. If that's what you just heard, you, my friends, you made that up. It's not what I said. What I said was, can you let them know you love them even when they're a hot mess? Because I'm going to give you a secret here. The level of grace and compassion that you can muster to show your child, your teenager, is likely the same level of compassion and grace that you have for yourself. So if you have a hard time finding grace and compassion for your teen, then I ask you, how much grace and compassion do you have for you? To be less than perfect, to be a hot mess, to get it wrong on a lot of days. Okay? All right, that was number 2. Number 3, what your teenager needs from you that they don't know how to ask is they need encouragement. So this comes around to school, partly learning new habits, but I'm going to use school specifically as an example because I know it's a big hot button, okay? Your teenager doesn't need more compliance and control or criticism because they are not meeting your academic expectations or fulfilling their potential. All of those things, scientifically proven, lower self-confidence, increase anxiety, and eventually will promote avoidance and actually symptoms of depression. It's because those things, criticism, compliance, monitoring their homework, their grades, why aren't you doing this? What's your problem? How hard is it? Just hand in the assignment. How lazy can you be? Why are you so irresponsible? It's school. I have a job, you have a job. Go do your school. We all have a job to do. That's yours. Those are all things that likely you heard when you were younger because, again, that was parenting of the day. What we now know is that kind of criticism is not motivating at all. It actually builds a shame story. And a shame story, which we all have shame, okay? We all have shame. A shame story is something where you believe that your external result, something outside of you, directly defines your value as a human being. So your teenager learns that when they do not perform, they do not do what you want and what you value, they are not as worthy as a human being. Your teenager learns that when they don't get the grades that you value or can't perform at school the way you want them to, that they are not smart enough. They are stupid. They are a failure. They suck. And these are the shame stories. They're not enough. I'm not smart enough. You have them too, right? But these are the shame stories that unknowingly, because we're not taught this, we as parents project on our teenagers, and their shame stories, which again are normal, we all have them, their shame stories grow. Now, as their shame stories grow, when we continue to use criticism, compliance, controls, punishment to get our teen to change their behavior, that shame story builds. What happens is, over time, your teenager builds your teenager loses hope. Now, hope is not a feeling. Hope is a way of thinking. It is a way of behaving. This is researched, okay, by C.R. Snyder back in 1990, okay? Your teenager loses hope. Hope builds confidence. Hope builds resilience. Hope says, I can go try this, and even if it feels hard and I suck at it, It doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It doesn't mean I have less worth. It just means maybe I had a bad day. Maybe I didn't know enough to do a great job. Maybe I need to learn more. Maybe the teacher was having a bad day. Whatever. I am resilient, as in I can roll with struggles and failures and know it's not about me, but I might need to learn more and dig in and maybe try harder or maybe go try something different. That is hopefulness. Shame stories lower hope, until it becomes hopelessness. Shame erodes your child's character at its source. Hopelessness means that your child builds depression-like symptoms and stops trying because they've already decided that they personally, yes, this is going to be permanent on my feed. Thank you for wanting to share it. If you're here on Instagram, I'd love a follow. If you're here on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Hopelessness is depression-like symptoms where your teen stops trying. That's where I was at. I was by the time I hit grade 11 and my shame story was growing so fast, I went from straight A's to F's and failing out and a suicide attempt. Because God bless my parents, they did what they knew. They did the things I'm talking about. They tried to motivate me using higher monitoring, punishment, criticism, shaming, guilt, to get me to get back to what they wanted me to be, back to who they took pleasure in. The only problem is I didn't know how to do that. I had no idea. I was falling so fast. And my shame story built until I was hopeless, and hopeless enough I tried to take my life. I hope that never happens to you or anyone around you. It is critical that we understand that encouraging our teenagers sounds like it's okay to struggle. I believe in you. Can we please normalize struggle and failure as a natural part of the human growth, human life trajectory? In fact, think of one movie. Tell me one movie or TV show where the main character did not have to struggle or fight to learn what they learned. If your teen is not doing their homework, they are likely feeling hopeless, and higher levels of monitoring, punishment, controls, and compliance will not work. If you do not understand how to connect to your teenager at an emotional level, you cannot fully support them. And that is what I teach, and I'm starting it on Monday. So that's number 3. Your teenager just wants you to encourage them. Can we stop trying to motivate them? That's bullshit. It is based on so many messed up, unhealthy relational tools that we learned because our parents learned them. Okay, this isn't about blame. Encouragement says, I believe in you even if this feels hard. I believe in you when you're struggling. I believe in you and your character, even when you're making some really dumb choices. I believe in you. I love you and I believe in you. This is hard. I know you can do this. Encouragement. And yes, of course, there's more to it than what I can share here, okay? I have a program starts on Monday to address this at the root. And unfortunately, schools don't know this either. The teens aren't getting this from schools, okay? Number 4, what teenagers need most in their giant emotional hot mess is not to be told to stop the back talk. That's disrespectful. Don't talk to me like that. Don't use that tone. I understand that boundaries are critical, and I support them 100%. I teach them starting on Monday. What your teenager needs most to help their brain to regulate because of the physiological development stage they are in as an adolescent, their brain, they do not know how to self-regulate. Their brain is highly reactive. It's almost always in a mild state of fight or flight. They need you to help them regulate. So rather than telling them to calm down and cut the back talk and stop being so disrespectful, they need to feel seen and heard in their emotional mess. They need to feel seen and heard. And that looks like a tool that shockingly is one of the most powerful yet simplest that I teach parents how to do. Empathy. How to empathize and validate. If you're interested in this program, by the way, that's starting on Monday, if you tap on my name, Allie Payne, and then go to the link in my profile. If you tap that, it's there. Just go to my website, alliepayne.com, and there's a big pink banner right at the top. This is my 8-week immersive program that I will give you all of these tools in depth, the science behind them based on my own experience as a teen, having raised 2 teens and some of my friends' teens, all of my coach training and certification, and helping thousands of parents over the last 16 years. I'm not just talking this from a book. I walked this. I was that teen. It starts on Monday. Okay? So your teenager wants to feel seen and heard in their emotions. The best way to get them to stop the back talk. Stop the back talk. Stop the rude, the sassiness, the tone. Stop all of that. Is not by trying to shut it down like putting a lid on a boiling pot. You're going to get burned. You're both going to get burned and it won't go well. They need to feel seen and heard and to let them know it's okay. I see how frustrating this is for you. This must be really hard. It must be so hard to have a developing brain that no one told you this was going to happen. Wow, it seems like you're really angry about this. Empathy and validation statements, which I teach in my programs, that's what they need. That's number 4. Okay? Number 5, they need to be allowed to process with you. They don't want you to talk to them anymore. They're constantly being talked at, being told what to do, what to learn, and hurry up and regurgitate that, won't you? I mean, spit out information. I shove information in that you don't give a crap about and it's not relevant, and hurry up and spit that information out so I can prove that you're smart. They are constantly lectured, told what they should think and believe. They are constantly talked at. There's very little space for them to process. And I had a parent share this with me just the other day, and I wanted to share this with you. I was talking about listening, and I was teaching her about listening, okay? That teenagers need the space to feel safe to process with you, okay? And she said, when her daughter was sharing with her, she normally would have jumped in to fix, correct, encourage, judge, all of the things, right? Because we're taught to talk and interrupt. We're not taught to listen. I just listened more without giving any advice, and she started sharing more. And I felt like as she was sharing more and I was actually just listening, she was verbally processing her thoughts with me and working out her own answer herself. That's from Wendy, who's in one of my programs, and is learning the power of simply listening and creating meaningful conversation, which means she knows when to just give her teenager a space to be heard, to process their thoughts as their prefrontal cortex is developing. They need to talk out the hot mess that's in there to develop their own individual thoughts and beliefs that are developing. Okay, that's number 5. They need a space to be heard. Okay, number 6, they need a space and to know that it's okay to disagree. It's called dissension in Dr. Brené Brown's work. Is there room in your relationship to dissent? Because if there isn't room in your relationship for them to disagree, then you are automatically requiring them to deny, abandon, or suppress part of themselves. Now, there's ways to disagree. And I'm all about boundaries because we are going to talk about those on Monday. Okay? We are going to talk about those on Monday. Your teenager's brain is going through 2 psychological processes simultaneously called individuation and differentiation. And it means that their brain is requiring them to figure out who the heck are they, as they not just learn to human, because that's a child's process. They're just learning to human. A teen, the adolescent, is learning to adult. That's a much bigger process. They're learning to adult. So their brain is requiring them to figure out who are they in their own individual values and beliefs. But secondly, who are they apart from you? They're no longer your mini-me. They're no longer your shadow. They're no longer your mimic or your mime. Who are they without you on their own? And if there is a relationship with you, they're going to bring their hot mess to you. They're going to bring all their arguments and their disagreements, and they need to be right about everything. Oh my gosh, I know. I've raised a few. What they want is to know that it is safe to disagree with you. I always explain this to parents as it's like, you know, when you practice tennis, have you seen people practice tennis and there's like a wall with a white line and you pretend that's the net? And then they just stand on the ground here and they hit the ball against the wall and just to practice their forehand or backhand. Do you know what I mean with that? Have you seen that? That's what your teen needs you to be. Be the wall. They're going to bounce stuff off of you and they need to know that you're just going to be the wall. You're not going to necessarily use every freaking thing as a teaching moment, a TED Talk, a lecture. You're just going to listen and let them bounce the ball off of you. They want you to be the trusted advisor. They want to feel safe to argue with you. And by the way, did you know that arguing with you is a compliment? Arguing with you is a sign that they respect you and they want you to be the safe person. That's also proven. So these are 6 things that your teenager wishes that you knew, that they desperately want from you. The problem is we are not taught these, right? We're barely taught like 6 hours how to get the creature out of our body, let alone how to do these 6 things that I just mentioned, which are things that I desperately wanted as a teen that would have dramatically improved my mental health. Not that my parents were responsible for my mental health, but my parents did create the environment that dramatically changed, either way, my mental health. So, if this sounds like something that you are interested in and you know you desperately love your teen, you don't want them to have to deal with a life where they failed out of school. You don't want them to have to deal with a life where they're seeking substance use, promiscuity, drinking, lying, sneaking around, but you don't know how to stop it. And you've already tried all the things, therapy, counseling, it's not working. Then this is probably for you. So again, I was that troubled teen. I did all the lying, I did all the sneaking, I did all the drugs, I did all the sneaking out, I did the skipping school, I did the failing, I did the whole thing. I've spent 30 years total, really, in therapy and personal development, life coach training and certification. I'm one of the only 70 people in Canada that holds both certifications. I've raised 2 children and some of my friends' kids have lived here. And I've helped thousands of parents through these exact challenges over the last 16 years to develop relationships that are more open, honest, respectful, trusting. Even when it's messy and hard, they don't take it personally. They don't go against each other anymore. They have the tools to navigate hard times because they're going to be hard times, let's face it. It's okay to disagree and they feel safe with each other. Starting Monday, I'm offering the Empowered Parent Mastermind. This is my 8-week program for caring and courageous parents who are truly invested in changing their relationship with their teen for the better. Not because you're broken, not because you're bad, and not because you are failing. Hell no. But because you know there's more to know than what we were taught. And you want your teenager to have the best opportunity to find their best as they define it and be part of that with them. The program starts on Monday. It has 8 pre-recorded modules that you log in online on my website, all 8 pre-recorded modules. There's video, audio, transcript, downloadable worksheets, and a resource section. The modules themselves, they take about 20 minutes a day, or a lot of parents, or less. That's if you do everything, and you don't need to do everything, okay? Some parents are just listeners. Some parents are watchers. Some parents want to read the transcript. Do what works for you. You get access on a Monday. Every Thursday, we get on a group Zoom call. So your cohort will have a group Zoom call. Every single person has the opportunity to, in advance, you send in your questions to me, and it can be about the module or it can be about anything else you want. You send in your questions, and every Thursday on a group Zoom call, I'm going to answer every single question, and I do not get off that Zoom call until every single question is answered. Everybody gets a turn. You get lifetime access to the 8 online modules and everything in the modules, anything I ever update. All the Zoom calls are recorded, and you get a lifetime recording access. So if I answered something for you or gave you a specific example or direction, you don't have to write it down or wonder where it went or how to remember it. And it's all going to be accessed in one place on my website. Okay. You get 12 weeks access to my private Facebook community for parents, which is very small. And in those 12 weeks, I answer questions every day. Every single day I'm in there answering questions. And I go live in there 6 times in that 12 weeks. So between 8 Zoom calls and 6 Facebook Lives in a small and private group, that's 14 different contact points with me, okay? You get communication flashcards with all of the top tips. You also get, oh, here it is here. You get a personalized, you get a program journal. You get a program journal to go with the program, okay? It's got every single module in it, and you can keep daily notes of how you're feeling, what's going on with your teen, your wins, your insights. It's got all the modules, the questions from every module. You can, so that you can keep track of everything all in one place, okay? You get one of those. You also, if you register by Friday night, so that's tomorrow night, if you want to jump in on this by tomorrow night, you will save $200, and I will send you copies of my 2 favorite books. I'm going to send you a copy of What Do You Say? This is literally a parenting Bible. It is literally scientifically researched and backed, but like not in scientific language. Scripts to use with your child for literally every single thing they can possibly pull. What about the perfectionism? Exactly what to say with perfectionism. Expectations, sample dialogues, literally everything. This book is a parenting Bible. I will get you one of those, okay? If you register by Friday night. The program starts on Monday, but the early bird savings and these bonuses are only available until Friday night. This is also going to be capped at 40 people. I want this is not a volume program. This program is about personalized coaching and attention to your specific challenges and struggles with your teen, so that your relationship on the end of 8 weeks is dramatically different. So you go through the 8 modules every week. We have 8 group calls. You get lifetime access to all of that. You get the 12 weeks because I know life happens. You get 12 weeks in my private Facebook group community to get one-on-one support through comments and threads that I'm in there every day, plus 6 live Q&As in the Facebook group, okay? This is all in a safe, non-judgment, absolutely criticism-free community, because I do not tolerate parent shaming. I do not tolerate parent shaming. You get your personalized journal, okay? Your program journal to have it all together. That will be sent out to you, and I will get you that personal book. If this is something, if now is the time, because you know this isn't a phase. It is a phase, but it is a phase, but if we're going to go with it's a phase, then you're literally at a 50-50 odds of what you're going to get on the other side. And you won't be equipped to help your teen through the phase. So it's going to be harder for both of you. If you're thinking, well, I guess this is as good as it gets. Actually, that's a lie. You've been sold. You've been sold that lie. It's not as good as it gets. And your teenager is desperately hoping that you don't believe that because they need your help, but they don't know how to ask you for the help. If you want your teen to become their best self as they define it, and you want to be the best support person for them in that process, then this program is for you. So go to my website, alipayne.com. Go look at the top. There's a big pink banner. Just tap that. I would love to see you and support you to be part of your parenting journey starting on Monday in the Empowered Parent Mastermind. If you have any questions, you're welcome to message me here on Instagram at alipayne, or you can post them in here on YouTube. You can post them in the comments as well. So I want to thank you so much for joining me in the top secrets that your teen wishes you knew. And I hope that these little quick tips that I provided can get you started in the meantime, because jumping in on Monday is the place to create lasting behavior change. Ooh, I forgot to tell you one other thing. It's guaranteed. I 100% guarantee it for the first 30 days. So you get halfway through the program. It's guaranteed. Like money back guarantee. No questions asked, 0. So there's no risk. There's no risk to you, because you can say at any point, no, that's not for me, I'm out. The other thing is, there's a VIP option. If you are not into sharing publicly in a Facebook group and you're not so into the group Zoom calls, I love you. That's great. You can upgrade to the VIP option and have me for 8 weeks on a voice app called Voxer. It's like voice and text every day for 8 weeks. That's like 40 different therapy counseling sessions, and there is a money back guarantee. And the VIP also gets a private session with me. So if you upgrade to the VIP, you get me like on your shoulder, like the little voice, like you can every moment, okay, this just happened, what do I do? And when I'm available during business hours, I will respond. I will always respond. It's one of my favorite things, is being able to help you in real time. Personally one-on-one. So that's a VIP option. And again, it's guaranteed. There's a payment plan, but you're going to save the $200 if you register by Friday night. It's that important to me. I believe in you, and I believe in the content, and have loads of case studies and testimonials to prove the validity of how it works and why it works. And if you're unsure, there's a guarantee. So sign up and start. And if you don't think it's great, I will happily refund your money. All right, everybody, I am off for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I apologize for the technology issues there in the beginning. Again, if you have any questions, message me here on Instagram at alipayne, or post comments on YouTube. Thanks so much, and I will see you Monday. Bye.